Chapter 1: The Boy Nobody Noticed. Ethan Cole was born in 1978 in a small, forgotten town outside Dayton, Ohio. His father left when Ethan was 4. His mother, Linda, worked double shifts at a diner, coming home smelling of grease and exhaustion, too tired most nights to do anything but collapse onto the couch. They moved 11 times before Ethan turned 12. Not because they wanted adventure, because they couldn't pay rent. Ethan remembers being 7 years old, watching his mother count nickels and dimes on the kitchen table, her lips moving silently as she tried to make $40 stretch across a month. "We're not poor," she used to tell him. "We're just early. Everybody's story starts somewhere." He didn't understand it then. He understood it every single day for the next 30 years. At school, the other kids wore new sneakers. Ethan wore shoes from the church donation bin, sometimes 2 sizes too big, stuffed with newspaper at the toes. Kids noticed. Kids are cruel before they learn kindness. They call him Trash Boy. They laughed when his stomach growled during class because he hadn't eaten breakfast. He never told his mother about the teasing. She had enough to carry. But something strange happened inside Ethan during those years. Instead of shrinking, something in him began to harden, not into bitterness, but into a quiet, burning determination that he couldn't yet name. At night, by the light of a street lamp outside his bedroom window, he read library books about people who had nothing and built everything. Andrew Carnegie, Sam Walton, Oprah Winfrey. He didn't just read their stories. He studied them, like a soldier studying a map before battle. In that same secondhand notebook he found in the trash, 12-year-old Ethan wrote a single sentence on the first page. "One day, my mother will never count coins again." He didn't know how. He just knew that. Chapter 2: The First Dollar. At 13, Ethan got his first job. Not a real job, because no one hires a 13-year-old legally, but a hustle. He noticed that elderly neighbors on his street struggled to mow their lawns. He knocked on doors and offered to do it for $5. Most people said no. 3 people said yes. That first Saturday, he earned $15. He gave his mother 10 and kept 5. It was the first time in his life he'd ever held money that was entirely, undeniably his, earned by his own hands, not charity, not luck. Something clicked. Not the money itself, but the feeling behind it. Control. For a boy who had control over nothing. Not where he lived, not what he ate, not what people called him at school. Earning that $15 felt like standing on solid ground for the first time. By 14, he had 6 lawns. By 15, he had a wheelbarrow, a used mower he fixed himself using a library book on small engine repair, and 11 customers. He started keeping a ledger, tracking every dollar in and out, long before he knew the word accounting. At 16, tragedy struck. His mother collapsed at work. Untreated exhaustion, malnutrition, and stress had caught up to her. She spent 4 days in the hospital. The medical bills that arrived afterward were larger than anything the family had ever owed. Ethan remembers standing in the hospital hallway, staring at a bill for $3,400, feeling something shift permanently inside him. It wasn't despair. It was rage, a controlled, purposeful rage that whispered, "This will never happen again. I will build something so big that money is never the reason my family suffers." That night, he added a second sentence beneath the first one in his notebook. Never again. Chapter 3: The Years of No. High school ended. College wasn't an option, not financially, not realistically. While his classmates packed for dorm rooms, Ethan packed a duffel bag and took a Greyhound bus to Columbus, where he'd heard warehouse jobs paid better. For the next 4 years, Ethan worked nights unloading trucks at a distribution center, sleeping 4 hours a day, and spending every spare hour teaching himself about business. Not from expensive courses, but from library computers, free podcasts, and secondhand books he bought for $1 each from a used bookstore that was about to close. He tried to start 3 businesses in this period. All 3 failed. The first was a lawn care company scaled up from his childhood hustle. It collapsed when his only 2 employees quit and his truck broke down with no money to fix it. The second was a small online store reselling discounted electronics. He lost almost every dollar he'd saved, nearly $6,000 to a supplier scam. The third was a food delivery service before food delivery apps existed. He was, in hindsight, 10 years too early. Nobody understood what he was offering. It folded within 5 months. By 24, Ethan Cole had failed 3 times, was living in a rented room above a laundromat, and had less money than he'd had at 18. Friends told him to quit dreaming and get a stable factory job. His own uncle told him, almost gently, "Some people just aren't built for this, Ethan. There's no shame in a regular life." Ethan didn't answer him. He went home, opened his notebook, and wrote a 3rd line. "Failure is tuition. I haven't graduated yet." Chapter for the idea that changed everything. In 2003, while working a warehouse shift, Ethan noticed something nobody else seemed to care about. Small local manufacturers had no idea how to sell their products online. E-commerce was exploding, but tiny family-owned businesses, furniture makers, candle companies, leather goods shops, were being left behind because they didn't understand websites, shipping logistics, or digital marketing. Ethan started small. He offered to build a basic website for a local candle maker in exchange for a percentage of whatever she sold online. No upfront fee, because he had no upfront fee to charge and, frankly, no real technical skill yet. He taught himself basic web design using free tutorials, staying awake until 3 a.m. some nights, coding badly, deleting everything, and starting again. The candle maker's online sales went from nearly 0 to $2,000 a month within 90 days. Word spread. A furniture maker asked for help, then a leather goods shop, then 5 more small businesses. Ethan wasn't just building websites anymore. He was building an entire system. Website, shipping integration, basic advertising, customer service scripts. He called it a business in a box for small manufacturers who couldn't afford a marketing agency. By 26, Ethan had 8 clients and enough income to rent a proper apartment. His first in years that didn't have a shared bathroom down the hall. By 28, he had incorporated his company and hired his first employee. By 31, that company, which he named Coleman Digital Works, later shortened to simply Coleman, had 340 small business clients across the Midwest and had grown into something resembling a real, sustainable enterprise. But Ethan wasn't done. He noticed something else. Many of these small manufacturers, despite growing sales, were still struggling with something bigger: supply chain and logistics. Getting product from factory to customer efficiently was where most small businesses died, quietly and slowly, drowning in shipping costs and inventory mistakes. So Ethan pivoted again. He used the profits from Coleman to build a logistics and fulfillment platform specifically designed for small and mid-sized manufacturers, something the giants of the industry considered too small a market to bother with. It wasn't too small. It was massive, and nobody had claimed it. Chapter 5: The Climb. The next decade was not a straight line upward.